So I want to talk today about the gynocentrism of society today and how it has caused Western civilization essentially to fall. But in order to do so, I need to go right back to Genesis and remind everyone where it all started. Okay, I believe it's in chapter 3. Yes. We go to Strong's Concordance. Now the serpent was more shrewd than any beast of the field, which, not the Lord, but Jehovah. Learn to say his name properly. Elohim, not God. God is the false idol of the sons of Japheth in the North Country. The Celts, the Gauls, and Gog and Magog. And he said unto the woman, as Elohim said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim hath said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. Well, that's not what he said. He told him, you shall not eat of it, lest you shall surely die. But he told that to Adam before Eve was created. So it was Adam's responsibility to tell Eve, his wife. And he did. And he added more just to make sure she understood. Don't even touch it. And of course, all the Bible scholars, because they are turned away by their wives, they are afraid of their wives, they manipulate the story to make it look like that Adam was watching Eve take the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. When I proved in previous videos that that is absolutely false. Adam did not know what the fruit was that she gave him. He assumed that she did not give him the forbidden fruit. Otherwise, why would the man stand there right next to the woman with the serpent talking to just the woman and not him? You see, folks, if the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, he most certainly wouldn't be doing this with Adam right there standing next to the woman. He would have waited until the woman was by herself. Just like in the old days, back in the 60s and 70s, there were vacuum cleaner salesmen and such coming door to door selling women products while their husbands were away. And there's long-running jokes about it, which this generation never heard, never understood, but the old folks know. And the serpent did not say to the woman and to the man. No, to the woman, because she was alone. You shall not surely die, for Elohim does know in the day that you eat of it, then your eyes will be open, and you shall be Elohim. He lied and called it the tree of life. Do you think that Adam would have stood for that if he was standing there? No, he wouldn't have. Knowing good and evil. And when the woman, so he was saying that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil would make them as Elohim. He lied. See, she only heard from her husband, and the serpent found the weakest link in this equation, and he targeted that weakest link. And that was pleasant to the eyes. A tree desired to make one wise, and she took the fruit thereof. And she ate it first herself, and then also gave it unto her husband. It does not say with her. King James Version added with her. She also gave her husband, and he ate. Indeed, it was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because as soon as they ate of it, Adam didn't realize what had just happened until he realized that he was naked. And the eyes of both of them were now open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of Jehovah, Elohim, not Lord God, walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves. And it would not have mattered. It makes no difference whether he knew or he didn't know. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil, once he ate of it, made him know that he was naked. Hid themselves from the presence of Jehovah, Elohim, among the trees of the garden. And Jehovah called unto Adam. Did he call to Eve? No. Isn't that sexism? He called to Adam, because Adam was the responsible party. Satan, however, he called unto Eve. I think you get it. I hope you got it. I hope you have the ability to comprehend what was just said here, what I just said. Jehovah called unto Adam, while Satan called unto Eve. Now, if any of you women are watching, don't get mad at me and say things that you always say to men about, that's the reason why you don't have a woman, that's the reason. I haven't had a woman for, I don't know, close to 25 years. And it's for that very reason. It has become less difficult for me to understand Scripture and think clearly. I will point, I know you don't believe this, and I know some of you women would be offended by this, but I'm going to show you Scriptures that will prove my point. He called to Adam. He did not call to Eve. He called to Adam and said unto him, where are you? And Adam said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked and hid myself. And then he said, who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree? He couldn't say no at this point. He knew that he was naked. He knew that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil was going to make it so that he knew that he was naked. He was able to put it all together in his head what had just happened to him. where I commanded you that you should not eat? And the man said, the woman whom you gave unto me to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. Did Jehovah chastise him and saying, you were standing right there? No, he did not. But he did chastise David. But David, I want you to understand, Jehovah does not pretend like he doesn't know what's going on. I will get to that point. I will get to that David thing in just a minute here. Whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And Jehovah didn't say, well, you were standing right there. There are no excuses. He did not say that. Adam had a legitimate excuse. And he told David concerning Bathsheba and Uriah the Hittite that he had no excuse. He did. I'll show it to you in just a second. And Jehovah said unto the woman, what is this that you have done? What have you done? It all went on her. In the human sense it did. But ultimately it all goes on Satan and all goes on the serpent in the end. He targeted the weakest link. I'll get to that. And the woman said, the serpent deceived me. And she told the truth. Adam told the truth, and Eve told the truth. Then Jehovah Elohim, because she told the truth, Adam told the truth, Eve told the truth, in each of those cases, he did not, how do I say this? He did say to Eve, what have you done? But look what and it went straight from Adam, straight from Eve, and straight to the serpent. He didn't even allow the serpent to speak. Did not even allow the serpent to speak. He said to the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle. So there was absolutely zero deceitfulness in Adam's testimony. There was no deceit in Eve's testimony. But what is this that you have done is what was told to her. Because you have done this, you are cursed above the cattle, above the beasts of the field, and upon your belly you shall go, and thus shall you eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman. That's figuratively and literally. There are very few women who today will entertain the company of a snake. The figuratively between your seed and her seed. Her seed being Yehoshua, the Moshiach of Israel, and her seed being, are you ready for this? The sons of Japheth. Y'all didn't see that one coming. Essentially the Gentiles. not excluding the sons of Japheth, but essentially the sons of Japheth. His seed. It shall bruise your head, and it did, Rome. And you, or her seed, will bruise. Oh, hold on. I'm getting it backwards because of the way Hebrew is written. I'll start again. And her seed, and it shall, her seed will bruise or smash his head. That's the Moshiach will smash the head of the sons of Japheth. And the sons of Japheth will bruise his heel. They bruised his heel at the destruction of Jerusalem and the slaying of the Moshiach. Now, the Romans were the ones who killed the Moshiach. The Jews merely sent him to the Romans to be killed. Now, I know it's the same crime in your mind. It's the same crime. But let's make one thing very, 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 very clear. The Romans killed the Moshiach. Now what I want to do is I do want to go to 2 Samuel. And after David condemns his own self, because Nathan told a story. And Jehovah sent Nathan unto David, and he said unto him, and said, there were 2 men in one city, one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceedingly many flocks and herds. You got to understand what Jehovah did with David was far more severe than what he did with Adam and Eve. And the things that he said to David through Nathan was far, far, far more severe than what he said to Adam or even to Eve. The rich man had exceedingly many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing except one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and nourished up, and it grew up together with him and with his children, and it did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and was given unto, it was like a daughter to him. And there came a traveler unto the rich man, and the rich man didn't bother to take of his own flock of his own herd to dress for the wayfaring man that was coming to him, but he stole the poor man's lamb and dressed it for the man that was coming to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. He said to Nathan, as Jehovah lives, the man which has done this thing shall surely die. And at that particular point, David condemned himself to death. So at that point, somebody had to die. And he shall restore the lamb fourfold because of this thing that he did, and because he had no pity. And Nathan said to David, you are that man. You want to talk about a scolding like you wouldn't believe. Did Adam and Eve get that scolding? Well, it says, unto the woman, I will greatly multiply your pain and toil in your conception. In sorrow shall you bring forth children, and your longing to your husband, and he shall rule, have dominion over you. So at this particular point in time, women from then on were supposed to be subservient to men. Yes, I said that word. Subservient. In the beginning it says he made the woman as a help suitable to the man. She was still supposed to be lower than the man in stature. But now she was to be subservient to him, shall have dominion. He shall rule over you. Dominion, gain control, govern, have charge, have authority, be your master. And what do women say about that today? They curse the patriarchy, not knowing that when they curse the patriarchy, they are cursing the Father himself, Jehovah Elohim. You see? He shall rule over you. If it was Adam's fault, let me just rephrase that. That proves right there it was her fault. Because of what she did. She can't be trusted. And because Adam, and under Adam he said, because you heard the voice of your wife and then you didn't bother to check. You didn't even bother to ask. You just heard. She said, I have some fruit here, and you just went and ate it. Didn't even ask. Didn't even check her. You trusted her. Which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake. In sorrow shall you eat, in pain shall you eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles shall bring forth to you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread, until you return into the ground, for out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and dust you shall return. But David, remember what we just said. The husband is going to have dominion over you. This word longing of a man for a woman. And women today misbehave because this is a gynocentric society. A society where women are not ruled over, where the government has taken authority away from the fathers, away the authority over their daughters and their wives away from the fathers. And that is the reason why their daughters are on TikTok and OnlyFans displaying themselves like the whores that they are. They have absolutely, women today have no control over the emotions or their own selves or even their own body count. And so what has happened is you have many examples of YouTube channels like false allegations, 16 years in jail for something he didn't do. He got exonerated. And now she's sorry, kinda. Sorry, not sorry. And she's going to get away with it. Probably accuse him of rape when he didn't, when there was no such an act occurred. You have channels like this. Like this one Tribe Report that make money on exposing the evil that women have become today. Now, I've said let me make one thing clear. I shun and disapprove of YouTube. Let me rephrase. I do listen to some of these channels to see what's going on. What I'm saying is it is not right to make money off of, in my opinion, this kind of content. And the reason why is because money has a way of, it's just like the Kevin Samuels thing. Money always finds a way to make the person operating that channel be exposed to being swayed by that money to have an opinion and to give an opinion on a certain subject. Like females. I'll give you an example. The man who used to do Family Feud. I can't even remember what his name is, a black man. He had a TV show where he was giving women advice. And it went from giving women correct advice to the point, but he started moving in the other direction. Why? Because he was getting paid. Because the people who were paying him were saying, well, you have got to adjust your message to make it more equal. You see. Until, like I said, I can't remember what the guy's name is. Until him and his show became gynocentric. So these videos, like this one, for these YouTube channels, even this one has already gotten shadow banned. So they make less money. You see. And once people find out that they can make more money fudging their message, they'll do it. All right? Now, I don't need this anymore. So you just learned that the man is supposed to have control, the master over his wife and his daughters. Let's look at 1 Peter. Wives, be in subjection. You are ranked under. You are not equal. But ever since the women's suffrage movement, and in a previous video I pointed out how the women's suffrage movement led to the murder of 6 million plus Jews and many more. One of the champions of the women's suffrage movement spread the eugenics doctrine around the world like wildfire. Equality with men came at a dire cost, a cost so great it nearly exterminated the Jews. But your teachers won't tell you about that. Your preachers won't tell you about that because they are controlled by their women. They do not have their women in subjection. Be subject to your own husbands. And even if they're not obeyers of the word, still be in subjection to them. And so I have to ask you, how can a woman be in subjection to her own husband and divorce him? Have the ability to divorce him? While being chaste, with your chaste conversation coupled with fear of the word of Jehovah, and let your adorning not be that which is an outward adorning of braiding of the hair and of wearing of jewelry and of putting on apparel, or even lack thereof today, like it is today. Let that not be in your clothing, let that not be in jewelry, and let that not be in the braiding of hair. So what do women do today? They do exactly the opposite of what Peter said. But let it be the hidden man, or in this case the hidden woman of the heart, in which is incorruptible, the ornament of the meek and mild and gentle, not of the screaming, illogical, selfish harlot, which is the woman of today. And a quiet spirit, not this mean-spirited I, me, and my, only think about oneself as women are today, which in the sight of Elohim is of great value. But they're not looking for the sight of Elohim to esteem them highly. They have been hoodwinked by the serpent. For after in this manner, in the same manner, in the old days, those archaic days, we don't do those. That's what women say today. The holy women also, who trusted in Elohim, not God, when they adorned themselves and they arranged, put themselves in order, they were subject to their own husbands, just like Sarah. Listened to, attended to, obeyed Abraham, calling him master. Calling him master. Is there a single woman who is willing to do this to her husband today? Now that's a rhetorical question. You already know the answer, don't you? And as I told you, the women's suffrage movement costed the lives of 6 million Jews, but not only that. Not only that, folks. I'm not saying caused World War II, but was instrumental in the destruction of nearly 100,000, maybe nearly 50,000 more lives. But the women's suffrage movement, I am telling you women, and I know modern women today absolutely will cast my what I'm telling you away from them straight out of hand. They will not believe it, but it's true. I proved it. I did a whole video proving that. And if the women's suffrage movement costed the lives of 6 million Jews, how many lives among the Gentiles is this gynocentric, Romanish, great whorish society going to cost the Gentiles? Now he says, calling him master, whose daughters you are as long as you do good, and are not fearful of being subservient to your husband with shock and amazement. Be terrified of that whole concept. That's why you hate the patriarchy. This is, as you Christians say, New Testament doctrine. You're supposed to be to your husband and to your dad just like Sarah was to her husband Abraham, calling him master. Again, I asked a question, a rhetorical question. Where is that woman who is willing to call her husband her master without any qualification? Who, I'm serious about this, where is that woman? She does not exist in the Western Hemisphere, I can tell you that. Now to husbands, listen very carefully, men and women, and stop claiming that women are equal. Likewise, you husbands, live with them according to knowledge, giving, assigning, not honor, but a value. You see that? Time means a value, so assigning value to your wife. As the weaker, without strength vessel. Weak physically and morally. Yes, you have to watch over her, because she can be easily led astray, and in turn lead others astray, like Eve did Adam. See, the truth is offensive only to the deluded. Are you deluded? This is the truth. And today, what do we have? Today, you can go on YouTube, and very soon you will find how men want to compete with, or women want to compete with men in sports and get annihilated. Even Serena Williams admitted that she can't compete with men in tennis. I'm sure you saw the video of a women's MMA champion of one particular organization decided that she wanted to fight a man, and she had all kinds of championships, but the man that she wanted to fight against, he was only a mediocre fighter. And he knocked her clean out. She was bigger than he was. Didn't matter. You want to perpetuate the lie that women and men are equal. They are N-O-T, not. And I don't care, folks, if I am the last man on earth to speak this truth. Because many of you men out there, you're unwilling to speak this truth. And the reason why is because your wife is in your ear. Or you're out there looking for a woman. Those of you who are out there looking for a woman, forget about it. I'm talking about in the Western Hemisphere. In the Western Hemisphere, a good one does not exist. Just doesn't. Show me one. If there is a woman who will call her daddy or her husband master, then there you go, you found a good woman. Good luck finding that. And like I said, I'm not afraid to say it, because I've got no woman and I'm not looking for one. I know the cost. I have gone through more things, more heartache. I have seen women do some of the most atrocious things that I just decided never, ever, ever again. And because of that, I now have the ability to think clearly and to speak clearly. Then, as being heirs together, in this manner you are heirs together. Value unto your wife as the weaker vessel, and remember what it says, weaker physically and morally. Oh, I know you women. You're going to get really angry about it. Don't talk to me about it. Talk to your maker about it. That your prayers be not hindered. Now, concerning multiple wives. Where did this whole idea that a man could not have more than one wife? Among the sons of Japheth, it has been equality. Women and men equality has gained momentum, waned and gained momentum thousands of years ago. Among the sons of Shem, not so much. Not as much. Okay? Now, which one is it here? Is it Deuteronomy? So Jehovah is telling the children of Israel about the kings that are their kings that are coming. In Deuteronomy 17 and verse 17. Not talking about the average folk, just talking about the king. 17:17. When you are coming to the land which Jehovah Elohim gives you, and you possess it, and you dwell therein, and you shall say, I will set a king over me, like the Gentiles do. You shall not in any wise set him king over you, whom Jehovah Elohim has not chosen. But it must be one among your brethren. You may not allow a stranger over you, which is not your brother. Now he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor shall he cause the people of Israel to return to Egypt. To this end he shall not multiply horses, for as much as Jehovah has said unto you, you shall not return any more that direction. Neither shall he multiply to himself wives to himself. Now the preacher, if they read this, they will not read the next section. That his heart be not turned away. The more women in your life, the more your heart is turned away, the easily you are swayed to do evil. How about that? And neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. So in this context, so that his heart is not turned away because he multiplied, and this is what happened to Solomon. This is exactly what happened to Solomon. And when in 2 Samuel, when Jehovah was speaking to David by Nathan, it says this. He said this. Nathan said to David, "You are that man. Thus says Jehovah Elohim of Israel, I anointed you king over Israel. I delivered you out of the hand of Saul, and I gave unto you your master's house. I gave unto you your master's wives into your bosom, and gave unto you the whole house of Israel and of Yehudah. And if that would have been too little, I would have given you even such and such things. I would have given you even more." He doesn't contradict himself. When he said, your king shall not multiply unto himself many wives, Solomon was the example of that. Okay. He told David that if he would have needed more, he would have needed more wives, he needed more than Israel and Judah, he would have given it to him. But he had enough wives. Israel and Yehudah was enough. But if he would have needed more, he would have given it to him. He does not contradict himself. And then he really lays into David concerning this sin. And he said, you did this sin in secret, that he is going to do this to him openly in the sight of all Israel and right before the sun. That's what he says right here. Now, so Paul is speaking to Titus, to the Gentiles, apostle to the Gentiles, speaking unto Titus. 1 and verse 6. Is there anywhere in the scripture says that a man can only have one wife? No. Absolutely not. Doesn't even say that a man cannot have a wife and a couple of concubines. If it did, then Jacob would have been disqualified. Jacob had 2 wives and 2 concubines. Are you going to condemn Jacob? Through which the blessings, from the conduit from which the direction from which the blessings come, you're going to condemn Jacob. How about Abraham, the father of the faithful, concerning Hagar? Are you going to condemn Abraham concerning Hagar, the concubine? All right. For this cause I left Crete, that you should set in order the things which are lacking, and ordain elders in every city, as I have appointed you. And if any be blameless, the husband of one wife. If any? If you can find any? having faithful children and not accused of riot or unruliness. For a bishop must be blameless as a steward of Jehovah, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, nor striker, nor given to filthy lucre. Why does he have to be a man of one wife? The same way a king should never multiply himself into many wives, so that his heart is not turned away. Because women are the weaker link. Look, you can yell sexism, misogyny at me, and all those stupid words all you want to. It is not going to make a difference to me. It means nothing to me. I am not swayed by it. Now, one more thing before I go. I'll go to Revelation 2, as I always do. Message to the church, to the ecclesia in Pergamos. Or he said, not Pergamos, Thyatira. I know your works, your charity, your service, and your faith, and your patience, and your works in the last to be more than the first. Notwithstanding, I have some things against you, because you have allowed that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess, to teach and to cause my servants to wander, to commit fornication, and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. Committing fornication with idols, which is what you Christians have done over the false holiday called Christmas. And you men out there, many of you, some of you I know very well, and who know the things that I'm telling you. But for the sake of their wives, they will not do the right thing and throw Christmas out of their lives. They won't do it. And when Easter is coming up, Easter is the name of a female, a goddess. For the sake of their wives, they will go and celebrate that abomination as well, and calling it a holy day, which it is not. I gave her space, nearly 2,000 years, to repent of her fornication, and she repented not. I will cast her into a bier, and those who committed fornication with her will be cast into great tribulation, unless they repent of their deeds, and they won't. They won't. Because there's too much at stake in this life. They don't care about the next life. The only thing they care about is this life. Well, folks, if this life is all you care about, you'll get nothing in the next. Because he says, and he's going to kill her children with a painful death. Not just any death, but an painful death. Pestilence death. And a removal of the gift of salvation. So you don't want salvation, and you want to die a painful death in the end. Well, you know what? That's your prerogative. I can't stop you. I can warn you. And it is a woman who caused these people to go into great tribulation. So, I have warned you about this gynocentric society that's going to be laid to ruin. It is a great whore society. And there came one of the 7 messengers who had 7 vials and talked with me, saying, "Come here and I will show you the judgment, the damnation of the great whore who sits upon many waters," which is many people, "with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and all the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication." Gynocentric. Equal rights. So he carried me away to the spirit in the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting upon a colored beast, sitting full of names of blasphemy. What are the names of blasphemy? Well, this also means slander. They slander the Jews, but they also slander the Shem HaMephoresh, as I have pointed out in other videos. Both the Catholic Church and all the Protestants have slandered the name, which is Jehovah Elohim, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of the abominations and filthiness of her fornication. So she was on top of the beast. Gynocentric Rome, sitting on top of many nations. And upon her forehead was written, "Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of all harlots and abominations of the earth." And I saw a woman was drunk with the blood of the Jews. I told you that a gynocentric society, which began at this women's suffrage movement, costed 6 million lives. 6 million Jews. Now, I'm telling you one, you can sit there and in your heart, in your smug heart, and reject that out of hand if you want to, but that doesn't change the truth. And it does not change the judgment that's going to come upon this gynocentric, whorish, harlotish society in retaliation for these crimes. But not just the 6 million Jews, but the Jews that were murdered since Caligula. Since that man of sin was revealed, Caligula. And also the blood of the martyrs of Yehoshua, that would be the 11 apostles. I'll say 12 because Paul was also done that way too. Jonah was not martyred. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. All right. I don't know how else to explain this to you folks. But this whole house, the foundation is upon sand. This whole gynocentric, whorish, governing style of Western civilization is on sand. And it is going to fall. And great is going to be the fall thereof.